is the 40th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the second week of April 2011. This episode is titled Totally Tax Time. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, your cloud computing experts. And I'm Jason Atwood, your host for today. And joining me 40th time in and around, looking a little bit like the Teen Wolf today, is Justin Edelstein, my co-host. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I haven't gotten a haircut or shaved in, a little while.
And it's showing.
Well, the shaved once every week or two.
Ooh,
The haircut hasn't happened in a while, but when I do get a haircut, it's going to surprise you.
You're going to go full boat?
Full boat.
Nice.
It's all gone.
Nice.
I have hair down to, back of the neck, and it's all being shaved.
I will pay to do that.
You want to do it?
I want to do it.
You're going to pay me to give me a haircut?
Sure.
Okay.
And video it.
Worth it.
And put it out as a podcast.
Fine by me.
Okay. So that might be an agenda for another week. For this week, we are kind of doing an all Salesforce agenda. So we had some other things we kicked off till next week, which will actually be pretty early.
It was easy to kick them off. We had them in the Wave, Google Wave.
Oh, nice.
And we just deleted them.
Yeah, that was too easy.
Yep.
You gotta try harder.
I took it.
All right. So we have the summer release notes have been released. I don't think they're the final. Are they final?
When they put them out, that's it.
I think they can update them because I remember there's been instances before. So Salesforce summer release notes, summer 11.
We're still getting patches from the last release.
Right. We have the core. We're going to talk about the core and what that means. The core is heating up. And that would have been a great
core.
That would have been a good title. And then there's the new community release for Salesforce. So big news on the Salesforce front. There's some other stuff we're not going to talk about, but we'll try to bring into the next podcast. And we'll wrap up with our pick of the weeks.
Cool.
CloudFocus pick of the week. So let's start off with the summer release notes.
Great.
I know you read them because you just read them. I read them the other day.
I did just read them to prepare for the pod.
I have them on my Apple iPad right here.
That's why you took that out.
That's why I took
you
that
weren't going to... You're like, I'm not telling you.
Right.
Now you have that in front of you.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
so I can look at them.
Okay. So I just read them, and I pulled out... Well, first impressions, a little light.
Right.
A little shorter than I'm used to seeing. Yep. I'm usually not able to read the entire release notes in like a half hour, 45 minutes.
I feel like they have been in the past 90 to...
They've been hundreds of pages.
Yeah, hundreds
I remember
of pages.
printing them back in the day when I worked at an irresponsible large company. I would print them one-sided and shove them in a folder and read them and highlight things. Now I don't do that anymore. I just have them in a PDF. And kind of short. I think it was like 60-something pages. And the first 10 are just like, you'll have to turn this on or you won't type of stuff.
Right.
So not a whole lot there. And they spent a lot of time on one particular section that I'll get to in a moment that I really actually was very happy to see. So
just a quick
first
analysis.
impressions.
Wait, quick analysis.
Go ahead.
I looked at the other sizes of them.
Yeah.
So just Spring 10, 2 megabytes PDF. Spring 11, 1.6 megabytes. I'm just going down the ones I have. Summer 10, 2.1 megabytes. Winter 11, 1.9 megabytes. Summer 11, 933K.
They could have optimized their images in the PDFs, maybe.
These are all the straight down downloads. So I just want to say,
maybe they optimized their PDFs a little better.
We could also I could open them all up and see what sizes they are in terms of pages. But okay, so first thoughts.
So my first thought was that it was a little light, but I went through it and I picked out 5 to 10 items that I thought were at the very least worth mentioning. I thought were pretty cool. So a lot of as I'm going to be expecting for the rest of the year and years to come, a lot of chatter stuff. One thing that I thought was really, really great addition was chatter feeds on list views.
I was almost going to put that in as an idea for the idea exchange.
It's a great idea. Being able to have a sort of dynamic list, right? Lists are dynamic. They're based on filter criteria. And be able to follow that list and be able to see all posts from the last 30 days that have happened on any record that are within that list.
Oh, that's not what I was going to post on. So that's not what I was going to post as an idea. I was going to post an idea if I have a list called opportunities last week that you could comment on that view. So basically commenting on views.
Right.
Yeah, but this is showing the comments that are on the underlying objects on those views. I'm talking about commenting on the view itself.
I see what you're saying.
So,
right.
I think there's a difference.
There certainly is a difference between being able to actually comment on a view and seeing records within a view, right?
Yes.
But as I'm reading the notes, it doesn't say anything about actually commenting on the view itself, kind of like reports. I'm assuming you're talking about, right? Like reports, how you can go to a report.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think that's what this is, but again, we haven't gotten our hands on it. And what it does say is, essentially it's going to show you a list of any records within that list that have had some chatter on it within the last 30 days. So I thought that's very useful.
I think this is going to put a little button in the list view that you can hover over, and it'll show you the chatter in that.
It's going to have a chatter. You click on the chatter, okay. It's going to pop open, and you'll see the.
So totally different than what I'm talking about.
I believe so, but again,
Mine's
not
better.
sure until we. No, I think that's better, but they're both good.
And still, they haven't done the thing that I told one of the product managers of Chatter yesterday to do, which is to put the list view back above the chatter feed.
Let me explain that a little better, because you just fumbled through that.
I said it's great.
So when you're on a Salesforce list, you obviously have a bunch of records, and you click through them. You click a record, you land on a record, and then when you land on a record, there's a link at the top that says back to list.
Right.
That link falls below the chatter feed. So if the chatter feed's open on that record, and it could be very long, your back to list link is sort of lost in the fold. If it was above the chatter feed, it'd be very easy to pop back and forth.
And it's UI Navigation 101, which is that for navigation elements, you want them to be consistent in the same place, because people are looking, because I'm not going to get too far in this, but basically when you're clicking on things around and moving from home page to other things, one of the things that makes good UI is having it consistent, stay in the same place, because your mouse, your eye goes to the same place. Well, this back to list changes. Not only is it bad that it changed with the length of the chatter, which can change in length, but then up or down based on whether it's exposed or not. So all it does is move it up 25 pixels above, and then it's perfectly okay. Then the chatter can go up and down. I'd also like to see them add chatter preferences for remembering if I had chatter up or down on per object. So right now it remembers if you have chatter exposed on one object, you go to the next object, it then is exposed. So you close it and go to a third object, it's then closed.
Are you talking about object or record?
Record. I want it per record.
Per record. Gotcha. Yeah.
Even object I'd be happy with.
Right.
It doesn't do object.
Right.
Go ahead.
So the next thing it's a little fun. There's a chatty user. So I sort of thought this was funny because it's like Clippy,
right.
The paperclip guy in Microsoft Word.
The most hated
thing ever. And now chatty user with his little tips and tricks is going to be in your org. I don't want chatty in my org. I got to be honest.
Is chatty going to be turn offable?
I hope so.
Because
I really do hope so.
I'm not so sure chatty. I get it. You're trying to help users who don't know how to use chatter.
Certainly.
But there's becoming lots, and I would say almost too much of these things that pop up. I mean, we log into a lot of new orgs.
Nobody ever clicks on them, and then they're in the way. Like, I get it, right? You have the little yellow sticky pad thing.
Right.
But I log into orgs that have been in existence for, with somebody else's username and password, where they've logged in to that org for like 3 years or 2 years, and the yellow don't show me this ever again is still there, which means that they've never read it. Because if you've read it, you can say, don't show me this again because I don't need it. Or otherwise it's just like in the way.
Or maybe it's just not that, right, you could have read it, but they haven't seen that thing is, they don't know that it's takeawayable or something you can push away.
Right.
I do like the way they handle it on the chatter pages, that there's a list of things, even though someone put this in the Dreamforce portal the other day, they didn't know how to get rid of that list. Like, it says do this and do this, do this.
Just do them all.
If you just click them all as done, you don't have to do them.
Do them all.
If you just click them as done, then they go away.
Yeah, so Chatty only posts. I guess Chatty's going to be. He offers tips, tricks, and sample postings to help people get started with groups. So that's kind of where that goes. I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, moving on.
Turn off Chatty is going to be my T-shirt at Dreamforce.
Moving on. Mobile apps. So Android Beta is coming out for the Chatter app. Push notifications are coming to iOS devices and BlackBerry devices for Chatter, right?
And then the second one I don't like. The second one in this.
The other piece is a little odd. They're taking Chatter out of Salesforce Mobile Lite and Salesforce Mobile. So now they're literally two different apps. So Chatter's not in Salesforce Mobile anymore. It's just the Chatter app. And then there's Salesforce Mobile, which is so odd because I actually find that the Chatter app is more useful than...
It is.
Because it shows you more data. You can see custom objects.
Right.
All sorts of fun stuff.
Don't tell anybody.
But I guess they don't want to support
all
these two apps. Well, no, not two apps. They're going to still support the two apps, but two apps that have Chatter built in on now like a bunch of different platforms. It's I don't know. I don't get that decision.
The only thing I can think of is that maybe there's something with that if you don't have Chatter turned on in your org, that maybe that button they don't want to have to control that button in the thing. And
possible.
But this to me it makes no sense because I actually bounce when I open up my on one of my devices and I go look at the folder that I have that has all the Salesforce stuff in it, and Chatter's there, and then there's this other then there's Salesforce. I'm like okay, I guess I'll just go into Chatter now. Oh wait, no, maybe I'll go into Salesforce. I gotta do something else. I would want one app. To take away Chatter from the Salesforce app, if I'm going to be, and maybe we're hungry because we haven't gone to lunch yet, but maybe I'm being a little grumpy, but I'm saying that why take away the one thing you've actually added to the app in the longest time? You're going to take that away. It makes no sense. You're literally taking away the biggest innovation you've added to that app in probably 3 years, and you're going to take it away. And you're going to put it in a separate app, which I like. I mean, I love the Chatter apps. But now that I have to bounce between them, don't make me bounce between two different apps to do the same thing.
Well, it's also like the Chatter app is good, right? You can see the details of the records. But I can't recall being able to like go in and like find me an account. Oh. Right? Like find me an account so I can look at their address in there. If someone's chattered on it, then great, I can see it. So now I'm having to make a decision between where I need to go.
Happened to me last night. I was in our Chatter app on the iPad looking at Chatter that you guys had posted, and there was one that was talking about, it was close about something closed one. So I wanted to then go over to the dashboard and look at the dashboard. So I'm in the Chatter app on my iPad. I'm like, oh great, let me just click. And you had chatted about the dashboard. I couldn't get to the dashboard in the Chatter app. It wouldn't let me get to it. Right. So I couldn't actually see or refresh the dashboard. So I had to bounce out, go to Safari, and I logged in because on the iPad it actually works pretty good. Yeah. You can actually log in. But so I think those types of things I think are just a little bit. They're not. I don't know. Not fully getting it to me. Yeah. But whatever.
Well, let's get into some better things. Right. Some cooler. A quick note that Salesforce is now allowing orgs to purchase more analytics products. So this is like, if you're in an edition that only allows you to have a certain number of analytic snapshots or a certain number of scheduled runs for reports or a certain amount of dynamic dashboards, you can purchase additionals now.
Or I think add them to the editions that don't have them.
I believe so.
So I think professional you could then add in. I'm pretty sure because I remember thinking of our clients who have professional thinking, oh, good. They could purchase, scheduled dashboards or scheduled reports. I actually like this.
Yeah, it's good.
This is nice granularity, so that's a good one.
They didn't have any pricing, but
I'm sure
we'll see where it is. Yeah. We'll see where that comes. This one's big for me. I love this one because I was just complaining about this the other day. Being able to drag multiple fields at one time onto the report builder. Yep. And the report builder has changed a little bit with the way that it renders the preview. So you don't have to like wait for the rendering of the preview. It's going to be a little bit more asynchronous, and you can do things while it's doing its previewing and spinning. So being able to add multiple things, I think, is phenomenal. Thank you for that, Tom Tobin. All right, enhanced profile user interface, and this goes along with global search in the setup area. So these things have been.
And you didn't even mention.
Find.
Maybe you mixed it.
What?
Find in the setup area.
Search, find, enhanced profile UI. Great stuff.
Things. So they're putting global search back up. So when you're in the setup now, global search will be available to you, but they're also adding a find in the search in the thing. So great. If it has type ahead search, which I don't know,
I think you have to type at least 3 letters, then it goes.
That's great because that cuts down to the.
Oh yeah, that's for us admins. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be good. Like it.
Yeah, global search and find with the enhanced profile user interface. Great stuff. Make that easier. Love it. Big. This is actually big. I had a client recently that we ran into this limit, and
run
into it time and time again. Where now you can have more than the rich text, long text area limits, right? Those are gone. I think it was like 5 of one and 5 of the other, or 5 of one and 10 of the other with rich text and long text. Well, that's gone, and they've gone to a new sort of thing where you can have unlimited rich text and long text fields, but you have up to
65,000 or something.
I thought it was like 1.3 million characters per record. Now, each one still has the 32,000 character limit,
right?
But now you can go up to some total characters. Yeah. So that's going to be a little odd experience for somebody. Eventually when they're, you have let's just say you have 40 rich text fields on a record. It's probably a crazy looking record, but whatever. You can have 40 of them. And you start typing away and typing away and typing away, and then all of a sudden you get to the 30th one, and you start typing, and then you try and how they're gonna reconcile that? How many characters? I just typed 6 million characters. How do I don't know how they're gonna do that, but that will be interesting to see.
The next one is the what I think you should name the Rich Get Richer, which is that unlimited edition. We do have an unlimited edition. Hopefully some listeners out there who have unlimited edition, call us. We want to talk about your sandboxes. They go from 500 to 800 fields on an object. Most people think, 500 objects. 500, I'd never hit that. We've hit it.
We've done it.
Yeah, we've done it and had to go back and delete.
It wasn't pretty.
No.
Not our proudest moment.
500 is not a lot. It's not... It's a lot, but when you get there, that page layout or multiple page layouts, record types, ugly. And then the last thing was that I threw on there was exports for Professional Edition. So you can now do monthly as opposed to Enterprise and Unlimited, which I think you can do weekly. You can now do monthly exports for Professional, which I think is a nice add-on. And I think
sometimes you don't need them weekly. Sometimes you only want them monthly.
Well,
so now it's not.
But you can now do them. You couldn't do them in Professional Edition at all.
Right.
There was no export. Have a good day, sir. So now you can do them at least monthly.
Good stuff.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. And I think it's funny because we just went over what we consider a lot of good stuff, but we started off by saying we didn't think it was. It seems light.
Well, there was a lot of. we didn't even touch on the Service Cloud enhancements. There wasn't a lot of Force.com enhancements.
There's a couple API things I was reading
couple little
about.
API things.
Obviously, Chatter API things. Not
a lot of Sales Cloud stuff, though.
Not a lot of Sales Cloud. I think there was updates to some cloud scheduling, little tiny things. It does always beg to differ. Why do you go to this one little piece and not do these other things? But I think this brings us to our second piece, which is core. So there is a movement afoot. I'm calling it a movement. I'm officially calling it a movement as you stroke your magnificent hair.
My locks.
Your locks of love. It started up in the Dreamforce portal as we started to not read these, but started to talk about sort of features and things. And so someone started the True to the Core, or Core, what's the actual group name?
Oh... I want to say it's true to the core.
True to the core.
Like that. I'm going to log into the Dreamforce portal now so that I can read some of the comments that are in
Basically, that a lot of us old-time users, and
old-timey folk,
and who have been using the platform a lot, are getting a little concerned. Oh, I know where it started. It started with the purchase of the last
Heroku.
No, the one they just did, Radiant 6.
Radiant 6.
I think I went in and posted in the portal. We talked, said, hey, it's great they're doing all this, but do we have some? Is there enough time and attention to pay attention to this? And we talked about this a little bit last week. Well, anyway, there's a growing movement now. There's a group for it, and there's a hashtag for it, which is #core
or fix the core.
Fix the core, which I think we should spend some time talking about. And I think we have there's not a lot being done to the core in terms of not the core technology architecture, which my guess is there's actually a lot going on because that's sort of how they run their business. But in terms of feature functions, so we're not talking about how they do their skinny tables. We're not talking about that. We're talking about feature functions that exist and work within the Sales Cloud, within the Service Cloud, that aren't touching on their newer, hotter objects, right? The older objects seem to be abandoned a little bit. And while Knowledge gets 6 to 7 updates in this release, Chatter gets 6 to 7 updates. Products, opportunities, accounts, contacts, tags. We were talking about tags this morning.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of my posts to the group. The group is called True to the Core.
True to the Core.
So if you're in the Dreamforce app, join the group True to the Core. My post was that I just read the release notes and I thought it was a little light, and how we were just talking about tags and we have a client that you've been working with, and they had been struggling with ways to track interests, people's interests. So we were going back and forth between how they wanted to do it. Do you want to do it as a related object where you can track multiple interests to a person, or the way that they I think eventually did it right was they just had fields with pick list values on a contact, interest 1, interest 2, interest 3.
We did a related list because you can add in more. You can then track how many people.
So we ended up doing it.
We ended up doing it the right way.
So
hopefully.
That's good. But then we were talking about, well, wouldn't tags be really useful for that with guided tags? Like, you click add tag golf, add tag hunting, add tag basketball, add tag basket weaving, whatever. And then actually be able to do something with that, as opposed to just click it and see any other record that's tagged that way. Fine, great, that works nice. But let me run a campaign off that tag. Let me run a report. Let me run a list. Let me do the things I really want to do with that piece of data. And Tag solves that problem really, really well, and solves a lot of other problems really, really well.
Tons of those problems.
But they put tags out and then didn't touch them.
Yeah, I would probably say that tags have not been touched. Again, going back
over a year,
right? At least. I know we had public tags. We first we had tags, which were private tags. Then we had group tags, and that was it.
Public tags, whatever they call them.
Well, yeah, group tags and private tags. Even telling people how to use those, whatever. But tags, and then tags and topics. No relationship to tags and topics. There's all sorts of stuff that you could say. Wow, shouldn't tags and topics and tagging inside of content and content topics and content tags and chatter topics, aren't these all sort of the same thing, which is I'm sort of giving some metadata about this thing in a free form way? Isn't a topic a tag, and isn't a but I can't do anything good with topics other than click on them, search on them. I can't report on them. I can't do anything good. I can't do anything good with tags, and then the tags that exist in content don't connect up to the other one. So this all goes back to the
content
core.
Libraries, by the way.
Oh yeah, rename, right? We got a renaming of workspaces.
Renaming workspaces to libraries. It's a library now.
Which is nice because actually it looks like content and files are coming closer and closer together.
They have been for the last.
And they're going to meet up eventually.
Eventually they will all meet up.
And meet up. Documents will still be left by itself.
It has to be, though. There's so many little things built into documents that have to be there. For
build them into content,
like externally available images, all that stuff.
Do it. Make me happy. All right, so that's sort of the discussion of core,
and you need to build a migration path.
And we have one big other thing to talk about. So fix the core. Put some more into the core, or at least tell us why you're not doing it. I know it's hard to say safe harbor, but tell us, like, you're spending.
I'm wearing my safe harbor T-shirt.
You've been spending. I actually wore it this morning. You should say we're spending the last 18 months redesigning our entire database structure to do something in the future. Hey, fine, and we'll all sit around and wait, and we're going to get back to the core when we're ready. But whatever. So the other big news, the last piece of Salesforce news, was the new community release.
Yep.
Didn't know it was coming. Hit me like a storm. Logged in, did my little updates. Kind of was a little odd in terms of what it changed here or there. But in essence, they've connected a lot of the dots. They've created more of a profile that connects across.
Yep.
And I think exposes a lot of stuff that makes the profile and the connection of ideas, answers, and the app exchange really nice.
Yep.
Right? So I can now log in and expose, and they gave a in-out, opt-out, opt-in kind of thing. I can expose what apps I have installed in my org. I can expose, and then you can see what I voted on, how many votes I have, all sorts of
reviews.
What
badges, like mine.
Yes,
the
I don't
MVP
have
badge.
any badges.
I actually had 2 badges, and one of them's gone. So I might have to reach out to somebody and say, "Hey, why'd my answers for Winter 10 go away?" So I had one of those badges, and I guess my MVP badge just went and just dominated.
It's so big that it went over. I actually like it because it does take the little social piece. The social things that we like about Foursquare, and you and I have become like Foursquare monkeys at this
Competitors.
point.
Which reminds me, I have to check into the Arkus office.
Yes.
Right now.
You go ahead. I'll get the points after you check in. And it brings it kind of that social aspect to it. You can see questions and answers. How many ideas have you voted on? What's your total?
How many votes? 173.
Wow, 153.
I have 16 comments, 11 ideas,
That's a lot.
42 answers.
How many reviews?
1 best answer. No reviews.
Yes!
Although I'm pretty sure I've reviewed stuff.
No, I realized I hadn't reviewed none of this profile. You haven't. And then links to all sorts of. The one quirk is that when you go to look at your other links, it had other links that I couldn't delete. It was some weird.
Like your other info, like where I have my Twitter and my the Arkus Facebook page.
Yes.
And my LinkedIn page, etc.
Yes.
Yeah.
All that. So that's all the community stuff. I like it. It does single sign-on between the 3 pretty well. The look between the app exchange and the look between the ideas is a little different. The other community side, I hope that they clean that up so it feels the same. It does feel still like 2 different sites. But other than that, I like it. I mean, it's really well done. Your thoughts?
No, I like it too. They've added good it's a good user interface for when you're on your profile and you click ideas, for example. You can hop through any statuses. You can hop through all sorts of fun stuff.
I just noticed. I'm going to call you out. I just noticed
What did you notice?
On Foursquare.
Yes.
That
did I leave a tip?
You did.
At the Arkus Inc. headquarters?
Since it's a public thing, I'm going to call you out publicly.
Go on. What was my tip?
The mayor left a tip. The mayor of the
who's the mayor?
You are.
Oh, I am.
Said, talk to the Salesforce MVP. You know why I'm not the mayor? Because I'm out with our clients, talking to them, not sitting here in the cave. I talked to the Salesforce MVP while you are there. He's kind of a big deal.
That's me.
Yeah. Wow. I think we should start some sort of true to the not you core. So anyway, sorry. Back to the thing. So I think this is a nice move, which is pushing us towards the Dreamforce portal model, right? This is close to where I think that I want to connect this into my Dreamforce portal chatter profile, right? Because in essence, they're doing sort of the same thing. So how can I connect them up? How can I make them better? But I like it. It's a good start. It's showing that they're sort of bringing in the social stuff. It's bringing in the LinkedIn stuff. They can do more. Allow me to connect up my Twitter, so then it shows up in my profile. Allow me to check, do other stuff that's kind of more interactive. And I think that will create a better space as opposed to sort of just a profile page. And I don't know how many profile pages are you going to maintain? Because we all have tons, right? The other thing is, build modules that I can then export and put onto other places. So maybe build a module that I could throw onto my LinkedIn profile that showed my Salesforce profile, right? I mean, there's all sorts of cool stuff you could do. But anyway, great start. Good to see that they're kind of heading down that path.
Yep.
So that's our very Salesforce-centric podcast on this tax day. Although it's not actually the day you get your taxes in. So for all you who are finishing up your taxes and listening to the podcast, Godspeed.
Get them in.
Get them in there. E-file. That's right. It's the only way to go. I think they're actually requiring our accountant this year to, after I've been asking for about 5 years, like, why don't you e-file? He literally this year was made to e-file.
He had to. In years past, I've actually done them myself with TurboTax.
Yeah.
And you could e-file them through TurboTax, but you had to pay like $30.
Right.
Or you could just send them in the mail.
Right.
So I just sent them in the mail.
It makes no sense to charge someone to put something electronically.
Yep.
That's no sense.
Like the thing that would save money, you're making me now pay you.
So good. They're going e-file. Whatever. Apparently they're going to be building this large database of withholdings and stuff that they'll be able to basically auto audit you.
Ooh,
so
fun.
as it goes they'll audit you instantly.
Do it.
Everything will get audited.
Great.
Alrighty, so let's go to
our picks.
Speaking of auditing instantly.
Okay.
I'm going to audit your pick of the week. Go for it.
All right. I'm picking a product that I've been using for a little while to create training documentation for clients. It's called Screen Steps.
Yep.
It's by a company called Blue Mango Learning. An interesting name.
I love when they just take fuzzy dice software.
Let's see. Color, fruit.
Yeah. Color.
Industry.
Yes,
done.
That's right.
So Screen Steps is for the Windows or for Mac. Really simple way to create very, very useful tip sheets and training guides.
Are you giving away our secret sauce at this point? Like how we do our stuff here at Arkus?
This is part of the value add of listening to the pod.
Wow.
Great way to create training guides, create screen grabs. It's all built in. Creates a guide for you. Adds steps, number them, point to things, square, circles, red, highlighted stuff. All good. Where it gets cloudy is there's a couple of integrations that they have where you can obviously you can export your lessons to a PDF or depending on the version you have, Word or HTML.
I actually had to buy the Word version because I had promised someone I could get
standard
the Word
and
file.
Pro. Yep. There's PDF, HTML, MS Word. You can also export it to WordPress, Movable Type, TypePad, Squarespace, Blogger, Drupal, Joomla, Google Sites, Confluence Wikis, all sorts of web-based products. And then they have their own product called Screen Steps Live that allows you to integrate with Salesforce and do help in context. So you basically tag your lessons or manuals.
Right.
Let's say I tag mine leads.
Yep.
When I'm on the leads tab, the Screen Steps Lives component on the left navigation bar will show all lessons that are tagged leads. If I'm on the contacts tab, it will change and show ones that are for contacts. And you can tag things multiple, obviously, so they can show up in multiple places. Really nice little feature.
A learning taxonomy.
Yeah, it's a great product for building the things, and then a really nice way to get the stuff out. The standard version's $39.95. The Pro version is $79.95.
And you can upgrade, as I learned, because I bought the standard version and then I had to upgrade to the Pro version. So you can start off with one, and there's a 30-day trial. Really great app. Certainly things I could see doing better in it. I found myself a lot of mouse clicky. I wish I could build more into the hand and put more key commands to do stuff, but otherwise, I really like it. You can go back and edit them. It keeps them, so you can go, because that's part of it. Is you need to go back and edit things, so it kind of keeps it as a running total. So great stuff. That's a great pick. Mine's going to be something that I thought I picked, but I didn't pick. I've never picked. So we were both struggling here with the picks on this Tax Time Friday.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to pick something that I use. We were actually talking about this the other day. we listened to one of our favorite productivity guys is Merlin Mann, who runs whatever. He does a bunch of stuff, but he's kind of a big deal, a little bit bigger than you. Just saying.
Not quite.
Yeah. And he has been talking about Dropbox for a while as a replacement for MobileMe, and I've always had MobileMe, which is Apple's online service, which apparently is going to get some big upgrade soon. And I just never had a need for Dropbox. But then the other day, I was thinking about my files and what I'm backing up and what I need access to all the time. And I was like, I should try Dropbox. So I tried it. I'm like, well, I don't know how to use it because I basically keep all my files in MobileMe anyway, so what do I need Dropbox for? So I said, but I thought through a scenario which was, it was basically the iPad and iPhone scenario where I wanted to have things kind of instantly sync away so I could access them if I forgot. And so what I did is I created I put a Dropbox on, and I created 3 folders. One called Inbox, one called Outbox, and one called, one Downloads. And I keep aliases of them on my desktop. And so whenever I get a file that I'm either dealing with or have to deal with or might have to do something with in the future, I throw it into the Inbox or Outbox. So Inbox will be things I need to deal with. Outbox will be things that I use all the time. So like I use the CloudFocus logo. I use a picture of me, which I have to upload to profiles. I keep them all in my Outbox. Well, since they're all in Dropbox, in Downloads. So any download that I do goes into my Downloads folder, which then is in Dropbox, which then syncs, which then is available to me everywhere, which is awesome. So I can go on my iPhone, my iPad, or online, and any file that I've downloaded, any file I can easily get to it, save it, whatever. Dropbox is a great service. It's free. You can actually get more space. I think they give you 2 megabytes, maybe 2 gigabytes, something like that.
Gigabytes sounds more.
Yeah,
correct.
2 gigabytes. Yeah, and then you get more if you you get your friends to sign up.
I think you got me to sign up to get yourself another 250 meg.
Yeah,
or
something like that. But it's a great service. It's basically cloud storage, but it's syncing. So when you're offline, it still sits there and is available. Unlike Jungle Disk, where if the Jungle Disk isn't there, it's not there, and you can't get to it. So it's very nice. They do have Pro and sort of for work, so free to start. Then they can go up. I don't think it was great when I looked at it for us to use as a collaborative environment because it gets kind of pricey, per person per month. Got a little bit much as opposed to Jungle Disk, which is per user. And you can add on a lot. So anyway, Dropbox by Dropbox, a great service. You should check it out and find a use for it. So that's it for a week. Have a happy tax day. Follow all the activity, our blog post, which we didn't talk about our blog post this week, but blog.arkusinc.com. You can go read it there. This week was about...
It was about a pilot, a permission sets pilot.
So
which
there you go. Another
should have fit right in. Maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah,
darn,
we will.
That really would have fit right in.
That would have been really good.
Yeah.
So read it on the blog. So if you want to find out about it, go to Twitter, twitter.com/arkusinc, twitter.com/justedelstein, and twitter.com/jasonmatwood. Go to iTunes, download the podcast, subscribe to it there. It's called CloudFocus Weekly. Give us a great review. We really appreciate it. And until next week, while it is summer 11 releases out, it still feels like winter here in New York. But until next week, may all your days be just as cloudy.